Hello, my friend. This is Dr. Adli Abouzeedan, the guy who established the PSAM movement, and the person who is uh, behind the whole project. Uh, Welcoming you at our YouTube television or YouTube channel with the name PSAM TV International. And the language we use in this station is in English. We have other YouTube station or channel for Arabic speaking members and the general public, and this one is in English for everybody, whether a member of the network or somebody who's just interested to know more about us and what we do and what we are willing to do for the better change in this world in order to create a better life for everybody. One of the things I was talking about, or I wanted to talk about to you, is our goals. Since I started recording these episodes, I talked about the mission and the vision we had, and we talked about the 5 core values that govern our ideology, which is humanism, morality, purity, unity, and truth. And I talked about our position regarding spirituality, and I said that we are not a religious movement, but we are not an atheist movement. We are a spiritual movement. We have the spirituality as part of our as a component in our setting, but we are not really a religious movement at all. That's why we have even atheists among us. But the atheists among us are not really extreme atheists. They're the kind of people who are open to other possibilities and other explanations to the nature of life, you know. But within the network, we have variations how people see spirituality. Some people in the network see spirituality as a classical religious framework within Islam or within Christianity or within Judaism. But we have also people who are seeing God as a spirit, as something which is not really personalized, and we accept all these variations. We don't have a problem with that. The only thing that we have a problem with is again is when one have extreme views, and that's why again is Christians who are extreme, Muslims who are extreme, Jews who are extreme, Hindus who are extreme, Buddhists who are extreme, atheists who are extreme in their thinking. And you can go back to the episode about spirituality and our position regarding it, and there is more explanation there. Then I talked about dualism, which means that there is no contradiction between a person being a Muslim and the 5 core values, or a person being a Christian and the 5 core values, or a person being a Jew and the 5 core values, because all the 5 core values are really the pride, and they are based on deep analysis of all the religions, and all of these 5 values are reflected in the various religions, either directly or indirectly. I talked a little bit about our method also, which are around 3 concepts: human action, human interaction, and human knowledge. And you can go back and look at these episodes. This episode I'll be talking about goals. And our goals, there are 2 types of we have 9 goals, okay? And they can be divided into 2 groups. The first group is the goals which are classical, which touch classical problems that have been within us for centuries. And then there's another set of goals, three of them, which are more advanced in their nature and more futuristic and more contemporary. I'll start with the classical goals, and then I will stop at that, and then I'll take another recording to discuss the advanced goals. Let's talk about the classical goals. As I said, the classical goals, we call them classical because they have been around for a long time. And in short, there are 6 goals. I will not be taking talking about in details about them, but rather they'll just give quick hint for each of them. We have the first goal is to help people with handicap to adjust to life and get equal opportunities in their societies. You know, all these goals that I'm going to talk about has different level of urgency or deficiency depending on which country you're talking about. And that's why, for example, when you talk about handicapped people, there are societies who have done a lot for handicapped people, like in Scandinavia, and there are societies which are doing far less for handicapped people. And what we try to do is elevate the level of awareness and understanding of the needs of the handicapped and how you can change the work settings and the location so that they can participate in life and be productive people. The second thing is the women rights. And again, there is the variations. I live in a country, Sweden, which is well known for the great advancements that women made in this country and the equality level that they have. There is still things that can be done, even in countries as advanced as Sweden. But the urgent issue is the rights of women globally, because in some areas women are really truly suffering from oppression. The cases of the Saudi women have really attracted the attention of many people who are really interested of defending women's rights in the Arab world. So there are huge variation on the kind of needs that women have. In the advanced countries like Sweden, the issues are more related to equal payments and equal presentations in leadership positions in the country. So, while in other countries, the basic needs of women and their ability to be self-sustained and to be responsible for what they do, you have this guidance system in some Muslim countries where women are really deprived from their personality through the control of a male partner, and sometimes the male is far younger in age than the woman and far less educated than the woman, but still she has to kind of govern by his authority. So issues are really diverse. In some areas, extreme religious people, they see education as something which is bad for women, and some of these women pay a very heavy price for their desire to develop and desire to gain education. So there are great variations between different countries in regards to the position of the women, but we work across the globe to try to help women attain their goals and elevate their status and their conditions in their sites. The third area which we try to work with is the lack of the capacity to read and write, illiteracy. There is a huge in the West and the advanced countries. This is not really a huge problem because most of this non-capacity to write and read is behind. but there are certain areas in the world where still a lot of people cannot read and write, and that's why they are really deprived of developing themselves, deprived of even participation in the public life. In some countries, illiteracy is as high as 40%, 30%. In some countries, there is also still a lot of dependence on traditional schooling. Like, for example, the religious schools in Pakistan plays a very important role due to the lack of the governmental sponsoring for everybody. So most of the poor kids in Pakistan are educated through these religious schools, and some of them really have had a bad effect on these students, and were one of the part of the causes for the rise of extremism in some of the Muslim world countries. A fourth area where there is a lot of need to do a lot of work is poverty and fighting poverty, and how is that related to justice in the world, and the ability to give a fair compensation for countries for their exporting, for example, of raw material. Even the redistribution of wealth within countries is very important, because there is internal poverty. And for example, in some countries like Saudi Arabia, which have been having a lot of income due to the oil revenues, there is a huge differences within society between the lower layer of the society and the kings and the princes and the royal families and the rich merchants in the country. One of my friends went to perform Hajj in Saudi Arabia, and he told me that he was stunned by the level of differences, because in some of the cities he visited, he saw a kind of poverty that exists only in a third world country, and exists among the poorest of the population in these countries. So there is also this redistribution of wealth, which is very important. But there's also situations where the whole economy of a country is really weak. Countries like Pakistan, like Bangladesh, like Afghanistan, large portion of the population is not really does not have even the minimum level of dignity or life quality which ensure some level of good economic status. So fighting poverty, the issue is the issue of the influence of the banks in the world today, and how they deal with the economic development of these poorer countries, and the paradox between having harsh harsh economic policies which really lead to the suffer of the poor, that is demanded by the World Bank, in contradict to what really humanism calling for, and for the sake of gaining wealth at the cost of the poor people. And sometimes the World Banks or the large banks interfere and elevate the debt on the poorer countries, but really it's not enough, because the whole model is not really functioning. Today we have more and more people who are getting poorer and poorer in this world, while fewer and fewer individuals are getting more and more wealth. That is surely an indication that the direction in which humanity is going into is not a healthy one, and capital is important in development of nations, but capital that doesn't have a heart, or doesn't have a feeling, or doesn't have an empathy and sympathy with the poorer and the weaker, really cannot do good for humanity in total. Money is a means to help people, but when it is controlled by greedy individuals who really care only about making money, a lot of things can go wrong. And the last crisis that we had in 2010 in the Wall Street uh, and the crash that happened after, it was really a painful reminder. And one of the things which really made me feel very angry really is an interview that I saw with some of these people who were responsible in creating that mess, and the way they viewed the world. I had the sense and feeling that those people were not really at all in connection with the reality at all. They're living in their golden tombs, and they see the world through only money, and they don't understand the catastrophic impact that their actions are doing to the world and the economy of the world, and the price the poor people are paying for the manipulative nature of these large financial institutions. Uh, well, at least in Europe, there were uh, great attempts and serious attempts after the collapse of 2010. There was a great attempt and very honest and strong attempt to bring banks again under control, and many regulations now are in place in Europe to suppress any such scenario again. Bank control in the United States is far weaker. Financial institutions in the United States and the larger institutions in the world is really playing free game where they can do what they want, and that is really impacting very heavily on the poorer nations. The financial system in the world is in need of remedy and is in need of looking upon it and really try to put more responsible thinking into the minds of the people, of the individuals who really um, can by their actions touch billions of human beings. The fifth element or fifth area where we try to do something, or fifth area of our goals is the nutrition issue and the lack of good nutrition for kids in the third world countries and the poorer countries. Uh, and we try to do something there. One of the areas also that we were trying to work with is the integration of the people in their societies. In Europe, especially, there was a large flux in the last couple of years from non-Europeans who come to this country, and those people are in need of help and support so they can integrate themselves within these societies. So that is in short the six goals. It's helping the handicapped, helping women, trying to elevate illiteracy, fighting poverty, fighting malnourishment and the lack of good food for the kids, and the issue integration into of immigrants into their new homes. Now, I know that when we put these goals from the beginning, it was a deliberate issue or deliberate action of mine of trying to put very high ceiling for these goals. Now we are not going to be able to do all of that. There are a lot of organizations who work in these fields which have far more stronger presence of the world arena and have far more resources to be able to allocate money and means for dealing with these issues. But the purpose of these goals is to encourage our members to try to help as much as they can, and the focus is on local small projects which really can impact the people in the local environment. These are the kind of projects that we can do as a Hellenic movement. We cannot replace the role played by the huge organizations. Our job is a complementary one. It's to support these larger organizations, and in that sense, spread love and peace and appreciation for every human being. That is our model of working toward these goals. It's not at all our ambitions to compete with any of these large organizations. We can never compete with them. But we try to do whatever we can within our own capacity, using our own resources. And that brings a very important issue, is that, and that's more specific for the members, is that we need their support as much as they can. Your local network people need resources so they can apply these individual local projects, and these projects need financial supporting, they need resources, they need time, and each member in the network should really try to do up his most to support the work of the network and the effort of the network. And again, we really encourage creating local models and local projects that can help the local people and help our local networks in the different cities and villages of the world. And that work need support, need a lot of backing. And I'll give you an example. For example, one of our local network leaders took initiative, and he built the organization to promote integration in his city by himself, and he asked us for our approval, and we looked at the project and found it good, and we allowed them to do it, or encourage them to go through it. But he's dependent totally on the resources of the local environment and the local members in order to support his work. And anybody of you who really interested in doing something, he can write to us. Now we cannot at all. There's no way for me to promise anything, but at least we will have some understanding of how you think, especially in these six group of things. I'll talk a little bit about the advanced one because there it's a little bit more limited because really they are huge in their nature. But these six goal values, goals that I stated to you, there is a possibility to do a lot of local things. And to repeat them again, just to finish this, it's helping the handicapped people, helping women, fighting illiteracy, fighting poverty, fighting malnourishment, and the lack of good nutrition habits for the kids, and then integration, promoting integration of society. As I said, don't hesitate to write to me of any idea or any projects in your mind, and we'll see what we can do. I don't promise anything. The leadership doesn't promise anything. We still at the early stage of our history of our movement, and we really work with limited resources. And if you're a person who really wants to contribute more to your local environment, but you want to contact me because you trust me more, or you don't have any idea who is the guy who's responsible for your local for the local network where you're residing, you can email me, and on the email for this TV station, which is Adli, ADLI .Abouzeedan, ABUZEEDAN 11 gmail.com, and I will write it on the on the channel, write to me and tell me, well, I have money I want to donate, or I have resources I want to donate, or I can help somehow in granting, for example, some place or some land or some mark, or a lot where we can start something somewhere in some place in the world, and you want me to be aware of that, then send me the information, and I will see how we can redirect these resources in a way which satisfies you and make you feel that your money was not used in the wrong way, or that because we will tell you exactly what kind of project this money is going to. If you want to do certain things, if you want your money just to be used in promoting integration, or your money is used to deal with poverty, so you can decide yourself where you want to put that money, and we'll see to it that your wish and desire is accepted. And we don't have a condition. I mean, you may be somebody who wish to contribute to the network and our work, and you believe in them, but you don't want yourself to be a member of the PSMA network, and you just want to support us financially. You're welcome. Contact me and we'll arrange for something so that you feel comfortable of the procedure that we use, and the kind of project that we want to put that money in. I think with that I'll finish this episode. And certainly each of these goals we can sit down and make lectures about it, but the purpose is just to give you an idea about what are the things we're doing. So we try to do. With that, I'm leaving you with the greetings of love and peace, and wishing for you the best of happiness, the best of wealth, and the best of luck in life. Again, this is Adli Abouzeedan, the creator and establisher of the PSAM network, or what we call the Ilahinic movement. Thank you very much, and next episode I'll be talking about the advanced goals. Again, be good in love and peace.